Hello, welcome to Glammas Tidbits episode 5. Today, the topic will be, why do we need order in our lives? It's a very important topic because whether you know or not, we exist in a world that is all set up in an orderly fashion. And we need order in order to function at our best. And we can be more productive and we can be more creative when we also have order, because then it leaves space for our own creativity. And we need to introduce order to our kids and grandkids, because that will also impact their lives in terms of helping them to give them more efficiency, purpose, a sense of security and well-being. So for all these above and more reasons, this is the reason why we need order. And today I'm trying to impart a little bit about which part of our lives that we see order, and also how do we nurture this aspect of our children and grandchildren's lives. The definition of order is the arrangement or disposition of people or things in relation to each other according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. That is what the definition of order is. Now, if you believe in God, then God created this earth in such orderly fashion, didn't He? He created this universe in 7 days. And He implemented many things in the 7 days according to order, night and day. And then He created all the necessary things on this earth that would benefit His own creation, the creation of us in His image. And He did it every day. He has a sense of purpose, He has a plan, and He made and created these things for the well-being of this kingdom of His. The places that we see order is in everyday things that we are dealing with. For example, everything is set up mathematically. Anything that you see around your house, for example, clock, that's set up mathematically. It has numbers, 1 through 12 on the clock. That tells you which hour is going to next. Also, think about all the furniture that you are sitting on. It's made by machines, made by hand. Again, how is made? There has to have an order. You cannot make and put the cover on first on a chair without setting up the frame and then putting the foams inside the chair. So it makes the chair softer before the cover can go on. So if you don't have order and you're trying to make a chair, it will not work. So is the clock that we mentioned before. Inside the clock, there's mechanics. And the mechanics, these pieces, has to be put in a certain way. So it will be able to function later on as a clock. Now, I mentioned about numbers. Everything in our lives, in some ways, are related to the numbers. The numbers are a very important part of our daily life, daily happening. A lot of things that we are dealing with in school. As a child, you are in school at around age 5, starting kindergarten, if not before, for nursery. Same thing, how a school is set up is in a very orderly fashion. It goes by the grades, it goes by the curriculum, it goes by certain teachers with certain classes. It goes by even the children themselves. they're trying to implement how many boys and how many girls in each class, not to have all boys or all girls into each class. So there's so many things that we are really dealing with in our daily lives based on order. How about just waking up in the morning? It's an order. In order for you to have starting of the day, is that you have to wake up. And then once you wake up, what do? It's about self-care. You gotta get yourself ready, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, get dressed, be prepared for whatever daily activities that are coming up. So there, right away, that you are right into this sense of order. And it's up to us how we set up our day, isn't it? So if we have no order in our day, we eat whenever we want to, we sleep whenever we want to, then it creates a problem. Because if you do that, how are you going to be productive? Because the time you're sleeping, let's say you decided to sleep during the daytime instead of nighttime. If you choose that, then you're going to miss out on some of the activities, some of the work that you need to do. For example, if you're going to work, the workplace usually do not have nighttime hours unless you're a security guard. Possibly if you're a construction worker, highway, they do have nighttime works, but majority, again, I'm speaking in general terms. Generally, you operate during the daytime. In the time frame of, it could be 6 o'clock till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So if you sleep during the day, well, most of the time then you're not going to be able to find a job that fits into your nighttime hours, that's your waking hours, if you flip the order around. So for that reason, again, we see how order works for us. If it's not working for us, then it's against us in some ways. For those of you who are parents, you know how important it is to go by a schedule. What is a schedule? A schedule means that you are expecting certain things to happen for a reason. So the reason you schedule in a slot of time is because that is the time you thought is the best for that activity. So even with scheduling, it goes by the order. Which day is best for a certain activity versus another day? Now we come to an area of children in terms of how do we discipline them. If we discipline them without some kind of order, then the discipline part is ineffective, and you will not be able to mold them and shape them into the godly person that you want them to be. For example, when you discipline a child, it's because there is a reason for you to discipline them. Now, the reason have to be there first before you discipline them. Then as you implement the discipline, that method has to be there after the reason. After you discipline using the method, whatever it will be, whether it is a timeout or take away their favorite things, or even to the point of lightly spanking their hands, then there is the third part of that discipline, which is you need to make sure the child knows and understands why they have been disciplined. After they understand that, then there is the closure part after. The closure is to make sure that both you and the child are able to forgive and receiving that forgiveness and be okay with each other and move forward with your relationship. And hopefully it's a loving relationship at that closure. You give them a hug or a kiss and say, all is well. So you see, even in terms of disciplining a child, there's an order. Why? The method, then the reasons they are being disciplined, and the closure. In order for you to have the most effective disciplining of these kids. When we look at our lives, right from the beginning, there's an order. We were born without a mother or a father. We will not be able to be born in this life. After we're born, we have to live this life. Live this life collecting all sorts of experiences, good or bad. Then we have this journey on this life, going through some of the things, whether that would be going to a relationship, going into a committed relationship like marriage, and then eventually live our cycle of this life, being parents, being grandparents, and then eventually we have to go through the last stage of our life, which is we all will go to an area of passing, death. So our life, a total life, is set up in these stages. And it cannot be out of order, can it? Because it will not be too functional if it's out of order. You cannot get married when you're 5. You have to go through a certain maturing stage and collecting some life experiences before you can arrive at the stage of marriage. And you will not go through a death door at the end of your life when you are young and full of energy. That period of time will come. Of course, we all have experience and read about, whether it's personal experience or read about in the newspaper, how sometimes death comes early. And when that happens, it's kind of out of order. And you really impact on our lives so much more. If we hear a death of a young person versus when we hear a death of an elderly person. The elderly person's death is much easier for us to accept because that was their time. They have kind of earned that position of being a senior and on their last stages of life. So when they pass, it's acceptable. We can accept. We're sad, but nevertheless, we can deal with it very well. But when a young person passed away, it's not time yet. It's not time for them to go. They have so much life to go on, so it's much harder for us to accept their death. So how is order impacting our lives? So I just mentioned all these things that we are constantly in the midst of, and we are constantly actually are living with and having an impact by this order. We need order because it gives us meaning. It gives us the sense of timing. And it really gives us a sense of security and emotional healthiness. Because we know the sequence, we know what is coming. And in some ways, that well-being, the sense of security, and maybe perhaps a sense of purpose, that is all there. It's things that we need in order for us to live this life. A sense of hope, same thing. If we know that we have a goal and we know the steps, how to reach that goal. It really brought us that sense of hope and well-being. Also, I can say safety and security is two very important things for a child, because if they know what to expect in their lives, that gives them sense of security. If they can have this special time with their parents on a daily basis, again, in the morning when they wake up, if the baby got fed by the mother, this is what they expected. They know this is the sequence of event in their young lives. They have time to be bonding with the parent. They have a time for feeding, which is important for them at that time. They have a time of being taken care of, being touched, being changed, being cuddled. All this is part of order in their lives. So as young as they are, they know they have certain needs. If these needs are being fulfilled because they lived an orderly life by the people, the adults that is around them, they provide that order for them, then it breathes into the sense of safety, security, and their needs being fulfilled. That in all is very, very good thing, an important thing for this child. As we dealing with our daily lives, when we prioritize what's important in our lives, it could be on the daily basis, on the weekly basis, for some people even hourly basis. But when we have priority, then what happened is when we started to prioritize something, we started using the sense of order. We do what is the most important for us. Then we do what is the second most important thing for us. Sometimes it's prioritized not by importance, by what is necessary. Let's say you have a job and one of your children is sick. Well, in that day, your job is not as important. It's your child's health is more important. So you will put your job to the side, take a day off, and take your child to see the doctor. If you cannot do that, then what you have to do is still, with a sense of importance in mind, is to take care of your child first. Maybe at that time, you will call in for help. When you do prioritizing, it's not just what is come first, second, but also due to importance. Now going back to why we have order. Again, if we base on how God created this world, and how God also giving us the 10 commandments to follow. That 10 commandments also comes with priority. The first commandment is his most important, is that to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And if we can do that first commandment, then the rest of the 9 commandments are easier for us because we are fulfilling that first commandment. As another thing I thought about is, you know how sometimes you drive around the neighborhood and you see a house whose landscaping is just beautiful. Everything is in its place, the flowers there, the trees are there. And most likely, this person or the homeowner who cares so much about their landscape, usually the inside matches the outside. And usually this person's probably have implemented some order in their life. Another house could tell a different story. Some houses, the landscape is in horrendous shape. Everything's growing out of place. There's no sense of order, and most likely the inside of their house probably reflect how the outside of the house looks. This is good metaphor for you, because sometimes how the person is inside, if they have a sense of well-being, peace, and joy in their hearts, it's because they have order in their lives, that things are going well. Their needs, whatever that might be, is being fulfilled. It could be fulfilled by what they are doing to other people. It could be fulfilled by their own hands. Or some people out there who is being very helpful to them. But if they don't have order in their hearts, in their inside, then it shows on the outside. Very often you're going to see the way they dress, the way they conduct themselves, is in a chaotic state. That they are fidgeting, they don't know which way to go, they are in the more anxious and depressive mood. Think of the landscape, the inside of the house, as a good metaphor for all of us when we have order or we don't have order in our lives. The conclusion for me is, in order to really raise a godly child, is we can't follow the sense of order, how God sets it up. So with this child, we have to look at this child's life. Does this child's life have a sense of order? There are set times to do certain things. There is the bedtime. There's the waking up time. There is the eating time. There's the time how to speak, how to join, how to bond with others. And is there a time for creativity? Is there a time for family? Is there a time for just being who they are? All this is based on how you set this child's life, based on order. So I hope this lesson at least impart to you how important it is to implement a sense of order in your child, in your grandchildren's lives. You are the adult, and you are the one who have that power to set their daily life up in the most effective way, in the most orderly way. Also, please subscribe to my channel so I can do more for you. And don't forget to ask me questions, and I will get back to you. So until next time, I will see you soon, and hopefully you will come back and see me again next time. Take care.